What's going on, and welcome into another episode of Hells and Whistles right here on the Believe Network, episode number 7. I'm Daniel Salerson alongside Rel Myers. Hope everyone had a great weekend, a busy day in New Orleans today. Saints take on the Ravens on Monday Night Football, and the Pelicans are in Indianapolis to take on the Pacers. Odd timing, it'll be 6:45 Central. What I do love, Rel, and we can start with this
Uh-huh.
before we get into the weekend, is the fact that the NBA will not have any games tomorrow. They encourage everyone to go out and vote, which
Yeah.
means all 30 teams in action. They're staggering the games by 15 minutes, and
Mhm.
you could watch every single game for free on the NBA app. So I think kudos to the
Ooh.
NBA for how they're handling this situation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I knew that they were, staggering the games every 15 minutes or so. I did not know that you could watch it for free. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I have League Pass, but I know a lot of people would be interested in watching, a lot of basketball tonight. So that's cool for them.
Yeah, and the fact that they start every 15 minutes, you can go
Mhm.
game by game if you wanted to, and check out all 30 teams if you have the time. But we'll focus on one team here, and of course, that's the New
Mhm.
Orleans Pelicans, who are now 5-4 after a tough loss on Saturday night to the Atlanta Hawks, 124 to 121 in overtime. Unfortunately, I was not able to make the game here in Atlanta, but of course, I watched the entire thing from my house, and it was kind of a frustrating game because I feel like there were so many opportunities for the Pelicans to win that game, even
Mhm.
on a back to back. The Hawks had 2 days of rest. The
Mhm.
Pelicans obviously coming off that big win over the Warriors on Friday night, but I feel like the theme of Saturday night was kind of missed opportunities. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that. And I usually like to look at the rebound battle and the points in the paint battle, and we won both of those battles. So I'm just kind of looking like where did we lose that game? Like we won the rebounds 59-50, 1 points in the paint 68-66. Um, I think our free throw shooting stands out, which kind of seems to be a recurring theme. But not just with this era, but with the Van Gundy era and
Hmm.
the the Gentry era. It's just something we've had issues with, but against Atlanta, we were 20 for 28 from the stripe. So we were at 71.4%. Definitely would like to see that number come up. I mean, I kind of think that's part of why Golden State hung around the way that they did on Friday. Um, they were 91 or 92% from the stripe, and we were just missing, 6, 7, 8 free throws a night. So yeah, we just have trouble closing out games, and that Atlanta game, I think Atlanta's a good team. I don't think they're better than the Pelicans. I think that game was there for the taking, but we just couldn't manage to come away with it. And I think Herb had 5 fouls with 2:27 left in regulation, and
Yeah.
you know that kind of affects his ability to play the defense that he plays because they call the most ridiculous things on him. So it
Can't be as
sucks.
aggressive.
Yeah, he can't be as aggressive, and he's a, tenacious defender. So,
You can tell he was getting frustrated too by some of the calls. I mean, that's the thing when
mhm,
you're playing a guy like Trey Young and he's driving. I mean, the way Trey is able to draw whistles. I mean, he went to the line 15 times in
nuts.
that game, went 14 and 15. I mean, he lives there just because of what he's able to do to create on his own, and able just to draw the ticky tack fouls that the refs are able to fall for. So I think that's what
Yeah.
Herb was getting frustrated. I think Zion was getting frustrated by the lack of calls he was getting at the rim. But he
Mhm.
also, I think this was everyone too, the turnovers that led to fast break points. I mean, there were just some sloppy turnovers, but a few
Yeah.
from Zion who just lost the handle and they were able to get out on the fast break. I mean, those are kind of the momentum changes that I thought the Hawks got back into the game with.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of us allowing fast break points off of made baskets, and how I don't
Yeah.
know how that keeps on happening, but that's another thing we need to like really really clean up a lot. We've been having a lot of sluggish starts. Whether we end up winning the game or losing it, we're not coming out ready to play, it seems like. Um and we're not really meeting passes either, which is causing us to turn the ball over. So if a guy is passing you the ball and you're just kind of like standing in that same spot and reaching your arms out for it, like you might need to take a step or two close to just meet the ball where it's at, and then you might not have some of these long arm guys swatting these passes away and then going on a fast break and we're giving up points. So yeah, they're a really good team. I just feel like they haven't figured out yet a couple of minor details that'll help them, really piece things together. But it is still really early.
Yeah. So tonight will be game number 10, which we talked
Hmm.
about. Maybe the sample size is starting to get big enough. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's also not the case with the Pelicans because
Mhm.
of Brandon Ingram's health, because of Herb Jones's health, and also because of Zion's. How many games has this team been fully healthy? Not
Yeah.
even a handful, right? Three or
Is it
four?
3 now?
Yeah.
3. It might be 3.
So do do you still have to give this team? I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but patience. And do you think that this team is still trying to figure out how to play with one another based on the fact that these lineups have been interchanging so much that the chemistry is really not all there yet?
Yeah. I think before the game Friday, the starting lineup had only played 30 minutes
Yeah.
together. So it's definitely too small of a sample size for the team, but especially for the starting lineup because they just haven't had that time together that we've expected them to have. So hopefully, through this 3-game road trip and through the 6-game homestand, we can just have everybody healthy all the way through that. And then by the end of that, hopefully we can make, a proper assessment on where we stand, what's missing. I've seen a lot of people talk about needing a rim protector, and I don't know if we can just kind of figure that
Mm.
out internally or if that's something
Right.
we got to look at in a couple months at the deadline. Not really sure, but right now I think I'd like to see them shoot the three ball more. Like if we're last in the league and tossing up some threes, we need to get the ball in the hoop more from beyond the arc. I think Trey's been passing up a lot of shots lately. Um, in that Golden State game, he was 3 for 6 from beyond the arc, so that was good. And it kind of seemed like his shot was falling again. But then in Atlanta, I don't know. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I don't know how well he did from beyond the three there. So, yeah, I'd like to see that Murphy's Corner thing that Joel Myers talks about. I'd like to see that make a return.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think, and you kind of touched on it. Christian Clark was tweeting about this morning about their shot selection, and you're right, one of the bottom in the league in 3-point attempts, but top
Hmm.
6 in makes. So when they are shooting the ball, they're making them from three. They're just not taking enough. Is it
Right.
just the fact that either guys are not confident enough, which I think Trey is, and
Hmm.
or just a lot of the play design has been to go inside. When you have Zion now, I mean that
Yeah.
takes away Zion's not he hasn't hit a three yet. He's attempted a few, but has not hit a three all year.
Yeah.
So if he's your primary guy that gets the ball, you're not relying on the three too much. Brandon hasn't played a ton.
Hmm.
He's capable of shooting the three. So really in that starting lineup, it's CJ McCollum and you have Trey Murphy when he's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Larry has the potential. So it's just not having you have guys that are capable of shooting, but that's kind of not the bread and butter of this team right now.
Yeah, I think it could be a game plan thing. We're just looking to really get inside and get some points in the paint. But I think ever since that game against the Lakers, they were all over Trey. Like he wasn't able to get his shot off. Not that
Yeah.
he needs so much room, but ever since that game, that seems to be the trend. It's like people are finally reading the scouting report on him, and he's not as open as he would have previously been.
I think at some point too, though, when this team you're able to figure out Willie playing Trey with Zion and Brandon and Cedric, you're gonna have that opportunity because everyone's gonna be so focused on those three guys that Trey should be able to get a little bit more open look. So I think some of that just has to come with the health of this team and
Hmm.
playing more consistent minutes along with each other so that you can figure out whether okay, where can we shine Trey the most in this offense. And another thing from Christian Clark's tweet is they're going to the paint a lot, which is
Hmm.
great getting to the rim. They're just having trouble finishing, which is something I know Todd and I talked about last year is, when we always looked at the box score and we talked about points in the paint, I mean, they're shooting at sometimes 30-40% in the paint, which it needs to be in the 50s and 60s at
Yeah,
least when
yeah.
talking about. So a lot of easy, but I mean, I think that Larry Nance missed layup was the
Oh,
momentum changer in the game. I hate bringing that
oh,
up, but I can just see the
it
Sports Center
hurt.
not top 10 with the music, the circus music behind it
Yeah,
going off. I mean, that was
that
a
hurt.
huge turning point for the game.
What happened? Did he just not I
I think
think
he
he
jumped
needed to
too
take another
early.
dribble.
I
Yeah,
think he jumped
he
too early and
jumped too
realized, oh boy. But why
I
are
was
so many
heated.
people afraid to dunk? Like
Yeah.
guys that are capable of dunking
Right.
that
And we
still
and we
go for
just saw
layups.
him. Like he dunked on like 7 different plays against Golden State. So I
Right.
don't know if he used it all up. Cuz we know he can get up there. We know he's got the bunnies. Yeah, he jumped too early. He needed to take another dribble. I was so frustrated cuz I'm not a fan of finger rolls. Like just
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't ever do that. It never ends up well for us. So yeah, I think that was a momentum changer, and I'm sure Larry hated it just as much as we did, if not more. So, I'm not gonna harp on that, and I'm not gonna give Larry the side eye next time I see him.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
But the same way you end the game with Devontae Graham stepping on the line,
Oh,
like just little thing. I know, but we got to talk
did
about it.
he
I mean,
though? Did he? I
I
didn't
couldn't
see.
tell. I could
Yeah,
not tell.
there's no good angle, and it's crazy because obviously it had to be Scott Foster saying he was out of bounds, but the ref that was on the baseline called a foul. So which one is it? I would have liked
Yeah.
to see the referees talk to each other about that, or maybe just go to replay just to make sure they got it right. But no, we got nothing, and they just
I
moved
don't know if
on.
they can go to the replay on out of bounds situations
Yeah.
unless that is under 2 minutes or I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like under 2 minutes, all of that stuff should be reviewable, but nothing ever really goes in our favor with that, with
Never,
the officiating.
never, never. All right. So this team's 5-4,
Hmm.
4 losses. Two of them, which is funny to say, have come to the top two teams in the West, technically right now, the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz. It's weird seeing the Utah. They won again against the Clippers last night. They're now 8-3
Hmm.
on the year. The other one was against the Hawks, who are a top 6 team in the East. And then we
Hmm.
won't say where the other loss came from. A team based in the same city as the Clippers.
Someone in the bottom of the standings.
The very bottom of the standings, and potentially could be trading someone that we all know very
That's
closely
nuts.
in New Orleans. Yeah, we'll get to that. I think when we
Yeah.
go around the NBA. But
Hmm.
any sign of concern for you right now, or is it more of what we said is we just need a little bit more time?
Yeah, I think it's still too early. I'm not super concerned. I mean, obviously, they're not perfect, but they are a good team. I think we just maybe need to change our game plans up a little bit. We definitely don't want to see plays where Zion's just like standing in the corner. Like he's not like some 3-point corner sniper or something. Like he doesn't need to just be like standing in the corner on any sort of plays. Um, I think we need to get Trey more involved. We gotta get him open, really, is what it is. We definitely need to kind of help him get the space that he needs so he can get some of those shots off. Um, and what else? More point Zion, always more point
Mhm.
Zion. Like it works. So like let's give it a go. I don't think I want to keep seeing CJ have 5, 6, and 7 more attempts per game than Zion has. Um, and I think there's probably been a couple times where CJ's out there and he's, dribbling the air out of the ball. And then he'll pull up for a midi and he'll make
Yeah,
it. And it's
I
like, oh,
know.
okay, yeah, but you could have gave it to Zion down there with the mouse in the house.
Right.
So,
That's BI a little bit too, and that's
yeah.
not a knock on any of them, but they are more ISO kind
Hmm.
of. I could create, and Zion can too, but I think that's where the fact that they've only played a few games with each other, I think they got to
Yeah.
feel each other out a little bit as far as, and I think some of that comes with getting stops on the defensive end. Again, in the half court, it's not as easy just to. I mean, it is you can go to plays with Zion, but I think that's all just got to come with having more time on the court together.
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree with that. So hopefully, stay healthy, get that time on the court together. And then I feel like we could be well on our way. Like it is still really early. And I feel like last year we didn't really start turning things around until, I don't know, January or like
Yeah,
February, right before we got CJ. So,
the fact that you already have 5 wins when you feel like you're not at your best, yeah, it is a very good sign. And I know everyone looks at the standings, and
hmm
you mentioned it before the show that all 4 teams for the play-in last year are in the play-in again for the West right now through 9 or 10 games, but just all in
yeah.
different orders. But I mean, again, you don't know how things are going to come up. Are the Jazz going to be one of those teams that stays? I mean, 11 games in, it seems like they are.
Yeah.
They're
That's
just playing
so
really hard,
odd.
and they got some really good pieces from that Cavs trade. The
Hmm.
Bucks have not lost. I mean, we can go into that in just a second, but I
Yeah.
feel like it is still early for the Pelicans to kind of figure things out. And I think this road trip is very important. You mentioned 6 home games after this. You have Indiana, who's a young team. Tyrese Halliburton has been playing really good basketball, and then you have the Chicago Bulls to wrap up the trip. If you can get those two and come home
Hmm.
7-4, not playing your best basketball, there are probably half the league would sign up for that,
Yeah.
despite what's going on right now.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to. I don't get to watch a lot of Pacers games, but I'm looking forward to how we play against them. I think right now they are 4-5. I'm sure if Miles Turner has a good night, there's going to be people like, "See, I told you we should get Miles Turner," which is like probably one of the most annoying takes on Pell's Twitter. I think
Yeah,
people have been asking for him for years, but he's
right.
been like in trade rumors for years, and I feel like if he was going to be gone, he would have been gone by now. But I
Didn't
don't
he
know if
say
he's
he
that
should go
guy.
to the Lakers? Didn't he say how great he would fit with the
Oh,
Lakers?
that's weird. Like, how are you allowed to say those things? It's like
Well, I think
reverse
maybe because
pandering.
they've been dangling him for so long as far as trade pieces that he's just like, yeah, I'd
Yeah,
make
they should
great
make the
fit.
trade.
They should make, yeah, trade me. Is Anthony
That's
Davis going to
nuts.
go in return though?
That's nuts. I don't know.
I don't know how
That's
credible. I mean, Bill Simmons is the one that reported that
yeah.
when it comes to Anthony Davis. I don't know if it was could be traded on the trading block,
May
should
be
be
available. He
traded,
may be
may
available is
not
what he said.
play, could play,
Yeah.
questionable. I mean, all those things if you put in Anthony Davis will come
Mhm.
up. But it's kind of funny. I mean, they lost again yesterday to the Cavs
Yeah.
and are 2-7 on the year. I mean, maybe the rim protector we're gonna get is Victor at 7'4" next year. I mean,
I
maybe
know,
just wait
right?
till the Lakers completely collapse and you got your number one pick right there.
Is Victor is he positionless? Is he a wing, or does he play the big man spot? Like, do you
He does
even
everything. I think he's a
yeah.
unicorn.
I haven't been able to
And
actually watch a game, but NBA has a best of Victor Wembanyama uh like section
yeah,
on the NBA app. It's nuts, but it's
was it like
mostly
40 minutes
highlights.
long? Yeah.
It's mostly highlights. I haven't been able to like actually watch a game, but yeah, that would be something.
Yeah, it would be something. Let's go around the league while we're talking about everything else going on. What has stuck out to you, whether it's over the weekend or what's been going on? I mean, Brooklyn's a mess right now. We don't have to dive into
Dumpster
that.
fire. Yeah.
But looking at the standings, what sticks out to me, Milwaukee at 9-0.
Mhm.
You mentioned it without Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
The Cavs, who I know everyone thought, okay, this could be a team, is 8-1. Getting Donovan Mitchell was huge for them.
Mhm.
Um, or the Jazz. Again, I keep trying to figure out who the heck the Jazz are.
I don't
And
know.
and
I
just
don't
when
know
I
if they
think, oh,
know.
they're gonna come back to life, they're saying, no, we're actually pretty good. Laurie Markkinen has had I don't know if the Salt Lake City out there is just a rejuvenation for him.
Maybe he's just healthy for the first time.
Yeah,
I know he's had some health issues in the past, but those guys are they're making some noise. And who else? Clarkson he used to come off the bench for them, right?
yeah. I mean, they were able to get Colin Sexton in that trade
Oh
too
yeah, yeah.
from the Cat. I mean, they got some pretty good pieces. They just,
Hmm.
when you lose Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, you think you're not going to
Yeah,
go play
I
as
thought
well. You
they'd
thought they were
be.
going to get rid of Conley too.
I thought they'd
He's still
be in the
there.
trenches, and now it looks like they may end up being better without their two previous star players. So that's very interesting.
And then the Timberwolves, they're a team that's 5-5.
What the
Gobert uh, got COVID again, and he's out.
again? How many times is this now?
I can't even count, and nor do I want to.
Yeah,
But it seems like talk about being patient as far as their fan base. I mean, they had big expectations.
yeah,
I don't know if you've seen earlier today the play about Anthony Edwards not moving at all in one possession, and I don't know if it was a design, but he literally sat behind a 3-point line and did not move
yeah,
for
with
the
his hands
entire
on his
offensive
hips,
possession.
right?
Yeah,
Oh wow, I didn't see the clip, but I saw a screenshot of it. I didn't click on it to actually see what happened, but he's just standing there with his hands on his hips, and I'm
well, the
like,
screenshot's the same as the video because he doesn't move.
what?
Everyone
That's
else
nuts.
moves, but he
You
does
can't do
not
that.
move, and I don't know if that's a design, which I don't think it would be for him not to move at all.
No, no way.
But I mean, that's the thing about the NBA right now is you really just again you have your idea of teams that are going to
Hmm.
be up there. The Suns who are at the top of the West just losing Cam Johnson with a meniscus injury is going to hurt them.
Yeah,
Um, you just don't know. There's no besides the Bucks. I feel like they're in the Cavs. There's not really a team out there that I'm like, oh boy, watch
yeah.
out right now because everyone's kind of just in limbo.
Right. So speaking of Cam Johnson and Phoenix, and it's kind of an interesting situation they're in with Jay Crowder not wanting to come back after he thought he might have been in some trade rumors. Suddenly he's like, well, I'm not showing up for a training camp. So now they don't have Cam and
Yeah,
they don't have Jay Crowder. So what do you think is going to happen with them? Like right now they're sitting at 7-2 and they're still they're kind of tied for first, but Utah is still ranked behind them. But how do you think they're gonna move forward? Like, do you think where do you think Jay Crowder's gonna end up?
I don't know. I think it's going to depend on how desperate the Phoenix Suns get as far as moving him, and who wants him. I mean,
Yeah,
he's played a long time in the NBA. It's just a
several
question
teams.
of which team. I think there'll be a team that needs that veteran presence that will maybe
Mhm.
go after him, but how much are the Suns able to get back? Because now you've
Yeah.
lost your leverage knowing that all right, the worst case is you're stuck with Jay Crowder and he's not even playing for you. So
Yeah,
how much can you really expect in return for him? And which team can be like, yeah, I'll give you a second round pick and someone else and you can have him. But it will be interesting because Cam, I mean, was one of their better 3-point shooters, if not their go-to guy as
for
far as
sure.
knocking down threes. So
Yeah.
um, I think James Jones there will have to wait a little bit. Again, I
Mhm.
think it's kind of early to make trades around the NBA, but you never know. So
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's going to be more of a well, we're 7-2 right now. Let's see. I mean, they have a really good coach. They have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, and if Aiton is and Monty are copacetic at least while they're together, then they still have a really good basketball team.
Do you so we were able to hand Golden State uh their fifth consecutive
Yeah.
loss. Tonight they're gonna play the Kings, who are 3-5, and the Warriors are 3-7. Do you think the Warriors are gonna end their skid tonight? Are they gonna
Well,
win
who's
against the
playing?
Kings?
I was pretty surprised, but not surprised how they handled that.
Yeah.
That's a team that shows how confident they are in themselves.
Mhm.
That no matter what part of the year, we can rest our guys and we're going to be just fine. I mean,
Yeah.
can you think of any other team that loses 4 straight on the road, has one more, like, all right, let's salvage one. Let's get one before heading back. And Steve Kerr's like, nope, we're going to rest all of our good players. And they still, I
No.
mean, obviously hung in there with the
Yeah.
Pelicans, but the fact
No
that they were
one
just like punting on the road trip.
no one else can do that.
No,
Yeah.
and I think it
Even
also,
Kerr
I think it
Kerr
sucks for the fans too in New Orleans
yeah.
because the Golden State Warriors don't come a lot. It was actually a Friday night
Mhm.
to come see the Warriors. You kind of see where you're at against defending champs, and you really don't have any idea where you are against them because
Yeah.
none
You
of their
have to
guy,
wait.
none of their guys played. So I
Yeah.
know there's the rules about resting, but that wasn't a nationally televised game.
Mhm.
But um, I think obviously they can bounce back in Sacramento. Sacramento had that huge win. I wouldn't say huge win, but they got saved by De'Aaron Fox against
Oh, yeah.
Orlando,
Yeah.
the game-winning three
From the
there,
logo.
which I'm dying to see. I have not gotten to watch a lot of Orlando games in Paolo Banchero, but he seems like a really fun guy to watch.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I that was weird with Golden State. I know we talked about whether we want to even talk about that game. I just don't know what you get out of that game besides the Pelicans were able to get a win,
Yeah.
which they should
That's
have
pretty much
in
it.
that
Yeah.
situation. But it just, I was texting with Todd the night before. I'm like, oh great, this situation is interesting because the Pelicans are looking to bounce back after the Laker loss, but
Mhm.
then you have a team in the Warriors that final game of a road trip can go either a couple ways. It can
Yeah.
be they're so tired, they're just ready to go home that they play awful, or in a situation like I thought Golden State might take it as, we need to get one on this trip. Let's go out there and play.
Yeah.
And neither of those was correct. They go out there and rest everyone. So
Yeah.
it's just really interesting how they approach that. But they're probably the only team that would approach it that way. Or it
Mhm.
shows maybe how much people don't really value the regular season as much as fans would like to. Because if
Yeah.
you're rested, like Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely now,
Jeez.
resting
That's tough.
from the knee rehab. And it's like,
Mhm.
obviously they rather have him closer to January. I know we don't know how long he's going to be out, but
Mhm.
these teams are not in a sense of panic or urgency where if they start off slow, they're in trouble. They have confidence in themselves, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it kind of devalues these regular season games because if they want, they'll just sit these guys out.
Yeah. It
So I
really
wonder how
sucks
good that
for
is for the league or not.
Yeah, I don't think excessive rest, is good for the league. And there's certain players like Clay Thompson. I think he said if it was up to him, he'd play back to
Yeah,
backs. But the team's like, no, you're not going to do that.
right.
And for Kawhi, I think it's just strange that he might have suited up for a couple games, and the next thing you know, he's out indefinitely. And it's like, well, did he re-injure it, or is it just sore to the point where he can't play, or
Yeah,
is it just you don't want him to play because you want to save him for later? But it really sucks for the fans who were, season ticket holders, and it sucks for fans who go to see the Clippers come to town for their one visit on the East Coast to your city, and then Kawhi's not playing, and your kid's favorite player is Kawhi.
right.
And it's awful. But something funny happened on Friday night. I was standing outside talking to one of my pals, and this guy walks up with his kids, and he's asking us about the line. And we're like, "Oh yeah, well if you got a bag, you get in that line over there. And if you don't have a bag, stay on the line closer to this side, so on and so forth." And he goes, "Oh no, looking to buy tickets. And so we're like, oh, okay, we'll just go around all of this and go all the way
Mhm.
to the other side. Box office is over there. So he's like, okay, thanks. And he goes to walk away, and his little kid mumbles something. And my friend's like, hey, what'd you say? And the kid's like, well, the Pelicans are going to lose. So, and I was like, oh,
Oh.
you didn't hear? Your boys weren't playing tonight? And he goes, who? And he's like so confused. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. You'll see when you get inside. And the look on his face, he's just so confused. And I'm just like, hey, man, that kid started with me.
Yeah.
I was just trying to help. We're trying to show you where to go get tickets so you can not see Steph, Clay, Dre, and Andrew Wiggins.
So Rel picking fights with little kids outside the Smoothie King Center.
I had to finish the fight. He picked it. I had to finish it.
Okay. This is the kind of content we have here at Pels and Whistles, that we have our co-host trash talking against little kids. And did you go up to him? Did you see him during the game? Be like, ha, told you so.
No. I bet it was sold out. I bet he probably couldn't even get any tickets. I don't know. As far as capacity, it kind of seemed like a lot of people just didn't show up because they might have saw the injury report or something. But there were two people who were sitting next to me who got there during the halftime show. And I hear them saying to the two girls next to them, yeah, we didn't even know they weren't playing until we were parking our car. And I'm like, yikes.
Well,
and then they left halfway through the fourth.
Fans that are, come to a couple games a year or see or not on Twitter as much as we should be, don't know this kind of information. And
where would they find that out,
But also, Pelicans are not going to promote that all these people are going. They want fans to come. I know they want Pelicans fans, but sometimes you are coming to see the other team. And that is the tough part too, is you go expecting to see these players. It'd be like, Zion's going to be that way. And I remember I remember his first year, when he's coming back from the injury and he's warming up, and the people that got there early to just watch him warm up. Zion's going to have that effect, and especially against these Eastern Conference teams. Who knows how many times he's played the Pacers on the road?
Yeah.
How many times has he been in Chicago? He played Chicago for the preseason game, but like those are going to be games that teams are going to start coming to see the Pelicans because they want to see Zion Williamson, and they're also a good team now. So, if that's something where Zion all of a sudden is resting, which you never know, could be in the case, down the line if they have good playoff, a good playoff status. It's just something that I know the NBA, it's kind of hard to control, honestly. They've tried to find teams and they've done it on national television, but it's just the way you can make up what injury you have, soreness and all that, and just sit them out. It's just the way it is. But I think this could be a big chance for the Pelicans to bounce back tonight against an Indiana team that is definitely winnable, a beatable team. Same with Chicago on Wednesday. And what is with the schedule makers having the Pelicans go up against the Saints? Because usually they try to avoid that. And now it's like, but I guess tonight, because all 30 teams are playing, they really couldn't help it.
That's true.
But that's the second
time. And then Saturday, they had to play at the same time as LSU played. So that was interesting to tackle as well. But
was there a lot of LSU fans at Yacht Club?
Yeah. There was a decent amount of people there. And then we usually kind of gather in the boathouse to watch the games, as many people as we can fit in there. And so we had the Pelicans on the two TVs that are next to each other on one wall, and then the LSU game was on another wall. So it'd be funny because we'd be in a timeout, and I'm just like, watching the commercials or something for the basketball game, and then people start yelling at the football game. And I'm like, wait, what are we yelling at? What's going on? I'm not even remembering that's on the
It's a commercial break. Why are we yelling here?
Yeah, what are you yelling in my ear about, So yeah, there was a couple people there, but that bar is actually an Ohio State bar, it turns out. So there wasn't going to be a ton of LSU fans there to begin with, but there definitely was a little bit.
So are you going back there tonight? How are you approaching these two games? Back to the Yacht Club?
Yeah. I'll be back there tonight for that 6:45 tip off. We're not doing like an official watch party with the prizes and all that stuff, but I'll definitely be there trying to check out the competition. But our all-time record against the Pacers is 18-26. And we split last year, and it's pretty much the same with Chicago. It was 19-25 all time, and we split last year with them too. So
I remember last year
these dudes.
We traveled to Indiana on a back-to-back, and Pelicans got their butt whipped that night. I think it was like a 30-40 point, like second quarter. Todd and I are like, what are we going to talk about the rest of this game? Because it was one of those, but it was on the back-to-back. And it was a home road back-to-back. It wasn't even a road. So the Pelicans played that night at the Smoothie King Center. We traveled to Indiana, and then I think we traveled back. I was like, what a waste of 24 hours.
The Pacers
because
are they're missing someone. Is it Duarte? He's
Duarte,
he hurt
yeah,
his
he's out
ankle
for a
and he's
few
out.
weeks. Yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
So that's big
But Benedict
for
has
them.
been on a tear. So we got to put Dyson out there tonight. Put Dyson on him. Let's see
Yeah,
what
that'll be a
happens.
fun matchup. That'll be a fun matchup. We'll go say hi to Rel at the yacht club, and if you bring your kids, she'll try not to yell at them unless they deserve it. And we'll have another Pels and Whistles for you later on in the week. But make sure again you like, subscribe, tell your friends. We feel like we've been pretty good as far as how we've started, but we always like your comments, concerns, what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Again, we will work on. Maybe we'll try for a guest at the end of the week here, Rel. Let's try to do
Let's
that.
go
You
for
want to
it.
do that?
Yeah. Why not?
We'll figure out a way to get a guest on here, and we'll have ourselves a good time, and hopefully we're talking about a couple wins on this road trip tonight against 645. It's an awkward tip from Indianapolis. Again, all 30 teams in action, and also we should be saying go out and vote. We're not going to tell you who to vote for, no matter where you are in this country, but go out and vote, and you won't have to worry about missing a game tomorrow
Yeah.
because there won't be any NBA action tomorrow. So you have no excuse but to go out and vote. And Rel, I always appreciate being on with you. Great chat as always, and let's hope for a couple more wins before we talk again.
Go Pels.
All right, thanks for listening to episode number 7 of Pels and Whistles right here on the Believe Network.